Good afternoon, guys. Welcome us all on this holy of Saturdays. This will be our first...
The true Sabbath.
Yeah.
The true Sabbath. You're right. If you're Jewish, it's good. The original Abrahamic religion. My name is Marcos. I'll be your host here today. This will be our first ever, maybe even our last ever, just depending on how much numbers this does, wrestling podcast. We're going to be doing wrestling talk, just kind of catching people up. You guys have been begging for it, asking for it in the comments. I feel like this is one of the weirdest, most interesting times in wrestling right now. So, yeah, my name is Marcos Lira. Across from me, we're going to have two co-hosts. The first has his own wrestling podcast, is a survivor that fought Bane, has several Slim Jims in his pocket as this moment, Brian Salisbury.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're talking about, the Bane and the broken back and the fact that at 38, if I sleep wrong, I can't walk for a week. It's really sad, but it is a true fact. Hi, yes, I'm Brian. I'm excited to be here for the first and possibly last, especially if I am involved wrestling talk on the live stream.
Brian is not alone. I am not alone. We also have the...
Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring you now to Brian Salisbury. I am, of course, mean JJ Okerlund.
Please, if we're doing a full wrestling intro, I would love it if we don't do weights. I don't want anyone to know what I weighed in at today, so we'll just go ahead and skip
We're on the same side on that one.
Okay, great.
but yeah.
Weighing in high school at 200 pounds.
Bro, I was watching SummerSlam, weighing in at 220. That's what I weigh.
Yeah.
How come I don't look like that?
You're like, oh, that guy weighs as much as me and is 7 feet tall. Whoa, that's the difference,
and
I guess.
You can't teach that.
If you weigh as much as Big Cass, you're winning at the end of the day.
Well, this big show that we're going to be doing here is all about how fucking bizarre it is to be a wrestling fan in this current climate, because I don't know if you guys know this, ding dong, the asshole's gone. 20 years too late, maybe, but Vince McMahon is no longer running WWE as far as we know.
Grapefruits have rotten.
Wait. Am I allowed to talk about that? I did sign something that Vince gave me. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the fact that he has stepped down as the cult leader of WWE.
I mean, on the good side, we don't actually review per wrestling events, so we're free to talk about whatever.
What's that like?
You tell me.
I mean, I review pay-per-views. They're just from 20 years ago. So I'm real excited about Brock Lesnar just coming into the company. That's literally where we're at right now, and what we're covering is he has just arrived, and then I get to see organic hipster farmer Brock Lesnar at the current SummerSlam. This look, can we talk about this look that Brock Lesnar has, where it's I definitely will sell you a deconstructed Cobb salad at some someplace on 5th Street.
I'm Googling it right now. I'm off camera.
He's got a top knot. That is not a head that should have a top knot.
So all of this kale
I've
is
never seen a
farm
top knot
fresh.
under a cowboy hat. That's the weirdest thing for me, actually, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, this cowboy hat was my mother's, actually. That's why I'm wearing it.
Yeah, but you don't have a top knot.
Well, you don't know.
Brock Lesnar has a cowboy hat.
Look at that. He looks like he ate Brooks and Dunn. Wow, Brock. That is just that's a lane that you have chosen, my friend. But hey, you know what? We got a very rare treat at SummerSlam. Brock versus Roman Reigns. Never before have we gotten.
Right.
I went to my very first WrestleMania ever this year, and guess what the fucking main event was?
With the top knot.
Brock versus Roman. It's 15 times we've gotten this fucking main event. Did we want to ease people into this, or did we just want to go straight for the pile driver I'm doing?
just go for it.
Just go right for the throat, bro.
If we can get through this fast enough, we can talk about sports with Garth.
Well, what's your relationship with wrestling? When did you start watching it?
I think even the people not watching over there, looking at their phones,
pretending they don't like wrestling. Yeah. I fucking see you.
All those uncultured swine over there.
It's very hard to see through these glasses, but I fucking see you.
They're all fans the same way that we were fans of the Attitude Era. I mean,
sure.
that's where I started.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember watching it and then just trying to talk to my dad about Oh yeah, I just got into it, and my dad is like an old school wrestling head in the fact that he would, like, we're from the border. He would go and start fights with luchadors because he took taunting a little too far.
Oh damn! Oh damn! We're taking the gloves and the mask off today. All right, let's do it. Shit. Okay.
And then I just kind of got into it. My dad was a big Undertaker fan. He hated almost everyone else in the Attitude Era, like The Rock or Stone Cold, but he was like, I like the Undertaker because he just stands there silently.
He just takes care of business. He's the big dog.
If that's what we're like basing our fandom on for the Undertaker, if it's just that he just stands there and he just kind of is still and does nothing, then sexually I identify with the Undertaker because I just kind of lay there and do nothing. So I get it. I get why. But
Look
he's
at that quiet guy over there, Marge. He hasn't done anything. He's gonna do something. It's gonna be cool.
That 7 foot dude with Sarah tattooed on his neck hasn't done anything yet. He's clearly gonna do something. But yeah, no, that's interesting because like I was a fan like back in the Federation days as like a little kid. I had a case of those those like 13-inch hard rubber action figures that you couldn't pose but you could beat someone to death with.
Yeah. Do you remember those? The ones that had like wire in the arms.
Yes, if you fucking tried to stretch Armstrong Hulk Hogan, you would be able to stab somebody at the airport with one of those things. So like that's where I started watching, and then I the Attitude Era was very big for me as well. And then shortly after, I would say like right about 2000 is where I fell off.
That's where I fell off.
Yeah. But then during pandemic, it was like, well, I have all this time to watch shit because I can't go anywhere. And they had at the time WWE had its own app. Now it's part of Peacock. So you have to go there to watch everything. But it was just like, my brother was pushing me for years, like, you need to get back into it, you need to get back into it. So I basically just fell headlong back into it during pandemic, and that's when we started the podcast.
I got into it a little bit before the pandemic, and it was just because I was bored. Like, I was in college. College classes were easy. And then it was like, I saw Shinsuke Nakamura just doing random things, and I was like...
Michael Jackson of wrestling.
My 5-year-old son's favorite wrestler, I shit you not, is Shinsuke Nakamura.
I mean, he's so expressive.
Yeah.
And then cool to watch on top of that.
Yeah. My son will walk around doing this. It's like, I have never been prouder as a father. I put that song on that sounds like... You guys remember Mary Benaria, the hip-hop violinist that used to be on all Kanye's tracks? Yeah. No, just me? Okay, fine. But that sounds like who's playing his theme song, and I'm super excited about that.
So I got in with Shinsuke, and then I just fell into the rabbit hole because my friend Edward was a former wrestler, and he was like... Hey, bro, you know that like he came from New Japan, and there's a whole realm of people that wrestle like him.
Him versus AJ is still like legend.
Yeah.
Like before I moved to my current place, I bought a couch. I never had a couch before under my name, right? Like this was a major purchase. So they had it delivered to my house, and while they were delivering it to me, I was just like, I need to watch something that's not like Dragon Ball again. so that I look manly in front of these two clearly obvious men who lift heavy things. Shinsuke versus AJ. Like, let's do this.
See, I would
They stayed for the whole match, bro.
Were that me, I would have paraphrased the Dudley Boys and been like, get the couches!
Very specific joke that only like me, Brian, and not even Gertz will get it. Like because it's the where the NFL meets wrestling.
But it was crazy to be there. Like
Adam Cole is taller than Kyler Murray.
That is funny. It's true. It's true. I will say, like, one of the great things about getting back into wrestling, like, at the start of the pandemic, was there was a brand new company for the first time in 20 fucking years that I could be like, oh, I could also watch this. Like, my brother used to, like, try and bait me into getting back into wrestling by sending me YouTube clips of Orange Cassidy. And his gimmick of, like, I don't care, but I'm also really awesome. Like, just putting his hands in his pockets and wrestling the whole time with his hands in his pockets and doing all the flippy shit that Jim Cornette hates. But but it was amazing. And I was like, okay, now I got to watch more of this. And so, like, to be literally at the start of a brand new company, having grown up in an era where Vince was buying all the other companies and shuttering them, was pretty fucking exciting.
Yeah, no, this is I didn't expect two Pac-Mans to kind of fucking appear.
Right.
Where
yeah.
Vince McMahon was buying all the talent and then regurgitated all the talent, was another like weird thing on that note.
He's too small, pal. I can't do anything with him. I don't want to jerk off to him, so he's never going to be a champion. Which seems to be his MO. I don't know.
You're not wrong.
I'm sorry. I had to sign something that said I wouldn't say that.
I mean, there's a lot of like behind the scenes, like how did Shawn Michaels get over, and then I mean, according to
Vince
Edward,
saw him as himself.
yeah,
Like, Shawn Michaels was like, if I had your body, pal, like,
Vince McMahon was like, if I was also the bassist for Warrant, I would be a WWE, because that's what Shawn Michaels looks like. He looks like a band member you don't talk about from a hair band you also don't talk about. I left a bad taste in Marco's mouth. Sorry about that.
this whiskey is just so good. I wish
it is really good.
yeah, you can have.
I was gonna say, way to puff pass, motherfucker.
You can kill it, bro. Like,
yeah,
Okay. Well, we're doing this now. Hope my wife's not watching.
because her watching you drink Lone Star is so much better.
Yeah, no. She's never seen me
in a
drink
Lone
whiskey
Star
before.
hat.
You want to kind of savor that one, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Was that not clear? I'm sorry.
But no, yeah. So I got in through the New Japan hole because that was probably prime New Japan. Because at this point, like even if you watch it, it's like, oh, it's Okada again. But that's not as cool. 8 years of Okada.
Right, this is Okada like 14 injuries ago.
But versus now, I was like, I fell into that rabbit hole, and I was like, ooh, Kenny Omega, ooh, Tetsuya Naito, ooh, like Ibushi. Like it was fun to watch at that point. Not really. Sorry, guys. Not really. New Japan is not really fun to watch anymore because if you think WWE is bad for just pushing Randy Orton for 20 years, New Japan's almost about as bad.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I will say, I think we need to address the 400-pound Bam Bam Bigelow in the room, which is like people who dismiss wrestling outright by saying it's fake. It's like it's not fake; it's predetermined. The thing is, like when you watch stunts in a movie, technically that's not those people aren't really dying. They're not really like plummeting to their death from a 40-story drop, but the stuntmen are still doing that. Like gravity is not fake.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like it is completely irrelevant whether it's real or not. I mean, obviously it's not.
New Jack really tried to kill that guy.
New Jack. Yeah, tell New Jack it's not real, and then give him a box cutter and see what the fuck happens to you. Also, he's dead, so I guess not much. But what I'm saying is, like, I always think it's funny when people try to dismiss wrestling by like, oh, it's completely fake. It's like, no, it's basically a stunt show. And it's a stunt show executed by people who are incredibly acrobatic, and like just the idea of trying to memorize all those movesets that they do is staggering to me. So I watch it in the same way that I watch action sequences in movies, where I'm like, somebody had to do these things. Whether or not your neck is actually getting broken in a neck breaker is inconsequential to me. You actually still had to accomplish that move and make it look good. So
so tying this into like the nerdy, like lazy side of me, Tekken always has a 10-hit combo. Like, regardless of what character you play, they have a 10-hit combo.
Sometimes your neck is actually broken. Yeah.
I have the platinum in Tekken 7. One of the trophies was like, yeah, you got to land the 10-hit combo. It took me like a month to memorize on Tekken. On just learning a fucking pattern like square, circle, triangle, back square.
Will Ospreay does that every day.
I understood that reference.
I mean, to go back to like whether it's fake or not, it doesn't bother me as much. And one way that I've been able to convert a lot of people is just by being like, hey, you like theater, right? Like, and if you go to see a theater where people are pretending they're walking up the stairs without even moving, it's like, yeah, like this is that. Just a kind of on steroids in a way where it makes
literally, literally in the 80s.
I will say, like, it's crazy to me that there were people that will try to deride you. And my favorite is, it's just soap operas for dudes. And I'm like, what's your fucking point? Yes, you are accurate, but why are you saying that like it's a bad thing?
Yeah, but if you say like you're watching Cobra Kai, it's
No,
like
that was how I got my dad.
Yeah,
Cause
you can watch Downton Abbey and be like completely engrossed by what somebody may or may not have like moved their salad fork from the left to the right. And what does that mean? But I can't enjoy somebody turning heel in the middle of the ring in a pay-per-view. Like, what are we talking about here?
yeah, no, my brother got my folks really into Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Because it's legitimately good. Like, it's one of the better shows that's been on TV in the past 20 years. But my dad would always like turn his nose up to wrestling, and it was just like a joke. That was his gimmick.
Yeah.
He was the snooty, like, I was into wrestling when it was real. I watched El Santo in the ring. Like, in
So his wrestler name would have been the Hipster. Okay.
yeah. That was his thing. And then when my brother got him into Breaking Bad, I was like, I had the perfect comeback because he was like, you know that shit's fake, right? And I was like, yeah, so is Breaking Bad.
I don't understand the difference. I really don't.
I mean, there is no difference, and in fact, wrestling is such a unique algorithm. Like that, I've explained politics with wrestling terms. Like it's like, oh yeah, Trump did a heel turn. Like, like you wrestling literally explains everything because it's the most.
We're currently in the era of heel Biden.
I fucking wish Biden would go heel and cut a promo. Cut a real fucking
We're in
promo.
tweener Biden.
Darth Brandon appears.
Hey, know your role, jabroni.
But wrestling is is kind of one of the most interesting, like, arts because it's like you write a good series. Okay, cool. That is 10 episodes that you have to make once a year. Wrestling is literally every week, and you have to make it interesting every fucking week, over and over again.
Somebody really should have told Vince that before he left. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is like you can have your favorites, but honestly, like we're really in sort of the Pepsi choice situation right now, where we've got two major brands that are competing right now, and then you've got all these like smaller or independent. Like one of my favorite things ever was I went to my first WrestleMania this year, and you know WrestleMania was fine, whatever, but all the independent shows at WrestleCon leading up to WrestleMania was so much more fun to me. Like seeing these people that I either had no exposure to or had seen. Like John Moxley showed up every other event. He just like that, you could not stop that guy from wrestling. And which I found very endearing. He would just show up at like the smallest fucking podunk show and wrestle their top guy and just beat the snot out of him.
We can't offer you a lot of money. I'll do it for free.
One of my favorite moments is somebody came out. They were like going to start a match. Bret Hart's music starts up. Bret comes out and goes, "Hey, thanks for coming." His music again, and he walks up. The fucking crowd went insane. I'm like, he just pretended to be a greeter at Walmart, and you guys are acting like he like, you know.
This is my retirement plan, by the way.
This was. I hate to break it to you. This was the other screw job, and we got screwed.
I actually shout out to Tiger Style Pro on TikTok. They make great videos. He shot a video that was like, "This was my weekend at WrestleMania," and it was all GCW.
Oh my god, so much GCW. So on the podcast, we're reviewing all of the WWF pay-per-views since 2000, and yeah, I said F because hashtag get the F in.
Yeah.
We're never going to acknowledge that change just because you fucked up in Europe and the pandas got mad at you. I'm not going to acknowledge that change. It's WWF.
You telling me Triple H is weaker than a panda?
Exactly. Yeah, Triple H always goes over not when a panda's in the fucking ring. But what the fuck? Oh yeah, so we're covering all these pay-per-views, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just been really interesting to see the evolution of some of these wrestlers that now are being milked for all that they're fucking worth.
Yeah.
Like they're still in the ring, and I'm not even really saying that as a bad thing, because as much as WWE does it, AEW does it too. Like I've literally gone to shows at AEW and been like, I've turned to my brother and been like, "What year is this?"
Yeah.
I just saw the fucking Hardy Boys wrestle Christian. What year is it?
So when we went to Dallas,
Yeah.
Sam texted his brother. He's like, "I just saw Sting wrestle."
Yes. So And Goldust is still. See, Marcos made the joke about me tangling with Bane because the other day I slept wrong. And couldn't fucking walk for a day. So when I watch Sting at 60 years old taking bumps off the top of a fucking entranceway, I am no longer the guy that's like, woo, Sting. I'm the guy that's like, don't do that. Please don't die in front of me. I don't need a Randy the Ram situation to happen live on TV. I just don't need it.
I was pretty sure that Ric Flair was going to die on his retirement tour.
We thought that when we watched the pay-per-view 20 years ago. We watched the pay-per-view 20 years ago, and it seemed sad that he was still wrestling. This is what I'm saying.
I thought Shawn Michaels legitimately killed him.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. But I love you.
But the other thing is,
and then he kamehameha'd him into oblivion.
Pieces. Yep. Don't. Think of your wife and kids.
Copyright stricken.
It was 5 seconds.
We got copyright stricken on 3.
Nobody saw anything. Don't worry about it. But before I get pulled off, I do want to say one of my favorite things about us going through where we're at right now is that we are in the sort of slow rise and then even slower descent of Maven, the winner of the first Tough Enough reality show.
That was one of my favorite. Like, I think we did top 5 reality shows, and Tough Enough was on my list.
Everybody quits in droves. They don't even make it to the end. They're like, I guess you're the winner.
I mean, Hardcore Holly was there gatekeeping and shit, being like, you need to, lift the house before you can be a wrestler.
Hardcore Holly being like, yeah, tough enough my ass. But Maven, we always joked about, justice for Maven because in his Royal Rumble in, I think, 2001, or maybe it was 2002, like, he never actually got eliminated. The Undertaker dragged him under the ropes and beat him by the popcorns, and they, in the concession stand, and they never actually eliminated him. So technically, he won the Rumble. So at WrestleCon, he was there signing shit. So we told him that. We told him, on our show, you're a hero who won that Royal Rumble because you were never He's like, I was never eliminated. He has been holding on to that shit, too. But my favorite part of it is...
You get it, bro.
My favorite part of it is he'd like, yeah, I'd love to come on your show. And I was like, well, where can we find you? Are you on social media? And he said, I'm on LinkedIn only. So I got to find Maven on LinkedIn.
Check out my resume, bro.
I got to find him on LinkedIn and bring him on the show. But then he showed up at a GCW show. He was in a Royal Rumble at
was
GCW.
Was it after or before Bret Hart?
GCW
it was after Bret Hart. Yeah. And he did 2 drop kicks and then eliminated himself like, I'm good. That's enough. It's tough out there, guys. It's tough out there for Maven.
Let's get into a little bit of what I have planned, because I only have 2 things.
Oh, you had a plan?
A little bit of a plan.
All right. Sorry to swerve on you.
No. This is fun. We're actually up to almost 40 viewers at this point.
I think we've gotten more chats from this than
But what was I going to say? How do you feel about WWE at this point now that Triple H has taken over, done all the changes that he's made? We've seen a little bit of the gears of what he's hoping to do. Seen some rehiring back as well. How do we all feel about it?
I mean, I think the biggest problem, and this is what I want to make very clear, there is a weird war going on between AEW fans and WWE fans online, and it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And the common denominator seems to be that people think that if you watch AEW, you just want to hate WWE and vice versa. And it's like, I don't think these people grasp, but if you're a wrestling fan, you want it all to be good. Because imagine a world where almost every night of the week there was wrestling on and it was good. So, the complaints that I have for WWE are not fuck this company into the ground. It's like, man, I wish it was better so that I could enjoy wrestling and that's still how I feel. But I think Vince being gone is a huge step forward, and Triple H running things is a good step in the right direction. I think until they get rid of Dunn and that horrible fucking editing, as you just witnessed right there. I cut every nanosecond, zooming in to basically pretend that there's impact. It's terrible. They've really got to fix that. But I will say SummerSlam was the first time that something happened at a pay-per-view in 2 years that legitimately surprised me. So I'm I feel like we're getting little glimmers of hope that maybe that product is going to be better.
So a dude is complaining about your mic. Disconnect it and disconnect it and see if that
Oh, okay.
helps. That's not on you, but
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Oh, hell, sorry, my mic working now.
What a pittance!
I will say when it comes to WWE, the thing that they've been really strong on for the longest time is, and they kind of fell into it, honestly, is they had the best women's division in all of wrestling at a certain point.
Well, they fell into it because they were the only name. Like, TNA had a really good women's division, but, like, who the fuck cared about TNA after AJ and Samoa Joe left? Like, no one cared.
The chat comment, Brian's mic is not as loud as his shirt, was that's Film Alchemist. That's some stellar work right there. That's a promo being cut on me in the chat that I appreciate.
I think that was set to me, and I'm usually very quiet. So.
I was about to say, like, I mean, his mic, all the mics are set to this about the same thing.
No, I think it was before we did the old
Connect and reconnect.
yeah, the old IT crowd shit.
No, but WWE even I don't know how they fell into all this talent because I know they weren't trying. That's the only thing is that like Bianca Belair, Asuka, like they even threw away talent that is top tier on anybody else's network, like Io Shirai and
Ember Moon.
Well, I literally went to a grocery store the other day. I went to the toy aisle and they had all these WWE action figures, and I shit you not, every single one was somebody that didn't work there anymore. I'm not even kidding. It was Ember Moon. It was Cesaro. It was Bray Wyatt. It was like literally. It was like dead wrestlers walking. It was like the most insane thing. And I shouldn't say that because if there is one profession that has a very high mortality rate, unfortunately, it's professional wrestling. But it's crazy how high that turnover was. It was like if Vince didn't think he could put you in a main event tomorrow, you weren't worth keeping around. And that kind of short-sighted thinking, I think, was a real big part of their overall problem the last few years.
I mean, you're 100% right, and even then, like they kept people like Shotzi Sarai, the girl that's in Hit Squad or whatever. Like they still were really good at keeping women talent. They just weren't very good at pushing them. But you still ended up with like Asuka and Io Shirai versus like Natalya and some. I don't remember who Natalya's partner was, honestly.
I think the thing with it is that like women's talent is a completely different beast than men's talent. Because
100%.
As a man, like you could be a young buck and be like, I don't want to work at ROH. I want to try my hand at New Japan. And New Japan would meet you. Like, hey, ROH is paying me this. What can you offer me? New Japan will be like, fuck yeah, we'll pay you that. Here's the cherry on top. But as a woman's talent,
New Japan only signs people yearly, which is a problem for New Japan. Not for us as viewers, but yeah.
That is a problem for New Japan's CEO to figure out. But in terms of pocket, in terms of money-wise, in terms of like what gets people to sign, New Japan had it. New Japan could be like, yeah, you're a young buck, bro. Of course we're going to sign you. Like, what are they offering you? That's bullshit. That's peanuts. Like, we'll throw 1,000 more yen on top of that. Like, whatever the fuck it was. But if you were a woman, it's like, where the fuck else do you go? The only name in women's wrestling was WWE. They're like, who the fuck is talking about Awesome Kong now? Like, Awesome Kong is a TNA original, and she was from the era of TNA when women's wrestling was coming on the up in TNA. Who's talking about Awesome Kong today? I mean, the same way they're talking about China today.
I mean, no one talks about any woman as high as China. And WWE keeps trying to make Charlotte China at the end of the day.
They are, which is a problem. But
I do want to say, like, one thing that really aided my sort of transition back into being a wrestling fan.
We got the hype train! Come on, ride the train.
I feel like there needs to be a glass
Jingle
break
bells.
right now. What's going on? This.
I'm not entirely sure what's going on. I just saw Hype Train because, like... What?
We're at 36%. That's higher than the previous Hype Train.
You're welcome.
It's all because of brain cells.
That's why you have me on. This is the weirdest entrance music I've ever heard, by the way.
I mean, Santa Claus literally came out in the
That's
WWE,
true, and he got a fucking stunner.
I think Pomp and Circumstance is royalty free. We can actually play Macho Man's intro.
I'm graduating from community college. This isn't a weird entrance music at all.
That is my only
Public-
gripe with Macho.
Public domain entrance music from back in the Federation days is one of my favorite things ever.
Dude,
You could hear
OSW
Kurt Angle's thing before it
get
was
so-
Kurt Angle's
Yes, when the Patriot would come out.
To get super nerdy, OSW like making fun of entrance musics because it was like they got signed from WWE, so they just changed a beat, like Bret Hart's music with an extra guitar riff.
They turned it up an octave.
I am a verified American. It's not the same. It's not the same. Theirs goes like this. Ours goes like this. But I will say,
She needs to RKO someone.
I would, if it meant that y'all would hit some kind of financial goal, I would take a bump live on the show. The problem is, where are we going to do this without disrupting all of the equipment possible? We'll figure it out.
We'll turn the camera.
We will get back. I did mention that I couldn't walk after sleeping the wrong way, so yeah, I'm going to take a bump. Sure, why not? But aiding the transition back into being a wrestling fan, Dark Side of the Ring. Like,
Bro.
that shit. Jason Eisner and Evan Husney did this documentary series for Vice called Dark Side of the Ring. If you haven't watched it, there's 3 or 4 now seasons of this.
Yeah.
And Vice has been stealing that gimmick for every other
it was
show they
so
put
good.
out.
They literally stole that for so many. But they're coming back with a show called Tales of the Territories.
Yeah.
And I'm so fucking excited because, man, that behind the scenes inside baseball shit when it comes to wrestling, not only I ate that up, but people in my life who weren't never wrestling fans were like, give me more of that. I love this show.
That's really where like the meat on the bone is.
Yeah.
Because Paco has never been a wrestling fan. Like,
No.
Even still to this day, he doesn't like wrestling that much. But I tell him some of the shit that I heard from Jim Cornette's podcast, but from back in the territory days. I leave out all the AEW slander. All the like pocket slander. Nah.
Why don't we stop talking about all this flippy shit and go to Wendy's like we should because we're fucking Americans, motherfucker.
Accurate. That is, like, you can skip the first hour of Jim Cornette's podcast. That's it.
They're ruining the business. Everybody's ruining the business for Jim Cornette.
But when he gets to, like, the nitty-gritty and it's all like, no, back in the territory days, this is how you did shit. You
Right.
had to bake a fucking beer bottle in the oven for like an hour at 350 degrees, and then that would weaken the glass enough so that you could just like tap it on someone's head and it would break the motherfucker because he has to throw a fucking like every other minute.
I want to see him and Sam L on a podcast together to see who says motherfucker the most. Because it's going to be neck and neck. It's going to be neck and neck.
Well, on to a little bit of a darker of a subject because we're running out of time here.
The darker side of the ring. You're not.
I thought we had till 4.
We got the opposite
Sam's
of the
asleep,
hook
bro.
right now.
All right.
We put him.
I don't know, bro. Sam told me I had an hour, bro.
I'll
And we-
put Sam in the sharpshooter.
This is why you set the card at the beginning.
card subject to change.
Card
bro.
subject to change.
With the 40 mark. Hey, yo!
I keep obscuring this camera. I'm sorry.
I don't know what this means.
Sam's the only one that cares about that. Don't worry.
That's not Christmas music. That's Christmas.
No, this is a wrestling pod. It's also.
I don't know what the hell is going on the show.
Christmas music.
Put the Goldberg entrance. That's Christmassy enough.
The Goldberg. Christmas.
TJ hasn't watched wrestling in 10 years.
But he got that joke, didn't you? You got that fucking joke, didn't you?
Time out. Just so it's clear, I was at the WWE like earlier this year.
Oh, you went to WrestleMania. That's right.
Hey, getting all the benefit without putting in the work is pretty much Goldberg's MO, so don't worry about it.
It's not wrong.
I never learned to wrestle. Sorry, what?
A little bit on the darker side of the podcast. AEW, are they in a little bit of a fallout? A little bit of a fallout.
What are you fucking talking about? No.
Talking about. What do you mean? What I'm talking
I
about?
don't know what you're saying. What do you mean are they gonna fall out? The product is good every week.
Supposedly, let's take for one thing, for example, the back room is apparently divided.
So you're buying that is
even
a
if
real
it's
thing.
not true. Even if it's not true, do you know what the card is for All Out in 2 weeks?
Oh, is this like a gotcha moment? I'm sorry, am I on the stand?
I'm
Counselor?
sorry.
Go.
Do you know what the next WWE pay-per-view
Does
is?
WWE know? Hey, no, let's talk about Clash at the Castle for a few minutes.
Yeah, they built up Drew McIntyre.
They didn't build shit. They're going to Wales. There's castles there. What do you mean they built a castle?
Oh yeah, Drew McIntyre, the guy that's lost to Roman Reigns like 3
You
times.
can't throw a rock without hitting a castle in
I'm just
Wales.
saying they built it up in the same way that we've built up to Roman versus Brock 7 times.
I just want to point out that you are claiming that AEW is in a slump, but defending the fact that WWE is doing another UK pay-per-view. Insurrection, yeah, those were always great. Let's talk about that.
They killed JR's mom.
Who is wrestling for the title in 2 weeks? Because we know who's wrestling next Wednesday. We don't know who's wrestling for the title.
There is a title match on a weekly fucking show that legitimately has the possibility of going either way. I can't even say that about pay-per-views for WWE right now. If you bet anything against Roman Reigns for the next year and a half, you are insane. And that is crazy that you have one person, like the one person's allowed to eat. He's not just the head of the table, he's the only one there that's allowed to eat. What are we talking about today?
Clash of the Titans is a sick event, but I think Drew isn't going to win any titles.
He's not, because
No, he's
Roman's
not.
in the event. Of course. Have you not been watching for the last 2 years?
That's the thing. Like, Roman is above the title at this point. Like, take it off him. Who the fuck cares?
Maybe have a little bit of tension in your match. Maybe have the possibility of a different outcome. If the movie ends the same way every time, people aren't going to pay to see it.
I get where you all are coming from, but to defend what even the chat is saying, it's like, all right, let's take the big belt out of the thing.
Okay.
The only belt, because he has 2 of them.
Yeah, he's got all of them.
AEW now because there's only one.
There's also 2 belts in AEW.
There's also a problem.
Is your problem that all the AEW belts aren't also on Roman? Is that the issue that you're having?
I'm trying to be constructive here because I love AEW. I love that all the WWE dudes got hurt, so now we're like Ricky Starks, and I'm like, I actually like Ricky Starks a lot.
I like Ricky Starks, yeah.
I like wrestling that's good. I don't know.
Do you want to come talk wrestling with us, Martin? Oh, he's gone.
That's a no.
But I mean, even the women's division, they said they're building up to Tony versus Thunder. I actually haven't even noticed that. I'll be honest.
No, it definitely. Here's the thing. I think day in, day out, week in, week out, the wrestling and the storylines are better at AEW. Now,
I agree with
that
that.
is
Yeah.
because there has been one person at the helm of WWE who has gotten so out of touch with reality that he literally thinks he knows what the fans want more than the fans do.
Bro,
and now
this
that he's
guy
gone,
only saw food as fuel.
Yeah.
He ate a turkey sandwich every day, not because he liked it, but because he's like, I need 400 calories of lean protein.
this is a man who would tell people who sneeze to control themselves. This is a man who didn't know what a burrito was. This is a man. This is literally a man who thought if you literally just wished hard enough, you would never sneeze in your life. This is an insane person. He is absolutely out of his mind. So the fact that he is gone now is a good thing. But the other side of that is that you have this company that knows how to develop talent, knows how to develop storylines, and knows how to make the wrestling the focal point.
Yeah,
and I want
they-
WWE to catch up, but AEW, I'm sorry, is the better product
No,
right now.
they are the better product, and they have been really good up to the point that CM Punk got hurt. After CM Punk got hurt, they kind of just went like, I don't know what to do next. And I think that's why the CM Punk versus John Moxley is happening on a Wednesday, because they're going to try really bad to rush to CM Punk versus MJF too. And I may be wrong.
We haven't even seen MJF in weeks. I feel like it would be like we're literally talking about a pay-per-view that's happening in what, 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
That's what I'm talking.
Yeah, but they're not gonna wedge in an MJF storyline in the next 2 weeks.
They wedge in things for ratings all the time, and I love AEW, but they do wedge in things for ratings all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of these complaints are actually WWE complaints that we're just putting a different hat on.
I mean,
but, know.
you are fair to a degree, but it's just kind of a thing where it's like I love AEW. I don't love WWE outside of their women's division. I do feel like it's getting cleaner now that Roman, now that Triple H. I'm sorry, I got distracted by random people walking in.
Roman Reigns just walked in, and Marcus got very distracted.
I mean, the line between TJ and Roman Reigns is very slim.
Yeah, okay. I just think anytime you have a company that thinks that you have to have one and only person at the top, and I'm not talking about a title, I'm talking about literally no one else is allowed to achieve any kind of prestige or attention or anything, that is a huge problem. And I would be saying if that was AEW, if that was Ring of Honor, it doesn't matter. It's just that, unfortunately, has been what we've been spoon-fed for the last several years. And I'm excited about the possibility of that changing. The one thing that gives me a little bit of trepidation is that my complaint is that one person always goes over, and now it's being led by Triple H, the guy who always fucking went over. So it's a little,
but he was really good at booking NXT for
there you
a
go
long time.
There you go. And that is a valid argument, because NXT was great. And I feel like what we're seeing right now in AEW is exactly what Triple H was trying to do with NXT without Vince cock blocking him every 5 minutes.
But that's what I mean by a little bit of a problem. Is AEW is a little bit stuck in the mud right now because they're trying to pull out. They are doing real. I actually do like most of the moves that they've made since CM Punk got hurt. But it's like they obviously got stuck in the mud as WWE just happened to hit this lucky thing of Vince McMahon being sued for millions of dollars.
Right. Right. And here's the thing. You're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe AEW is currently in the mud.
Yeah.
WWE has been in the mud for over a decade.
You're right.
So, and they're not just stuck in the mud; they're happily rolling in the mud. And then now that Vince is gone, I'm hoping that we'll finally start to. I'm excited to see them pull themselves out of the mud.
Here's kind of my perspective on it. As weird as this sounds, WWE is kind of the underdog here.
Currently, yeah.
No, yeah. I would.
You're not wrong.
They don't have any momentum. They don't have. Basically, AEW has Bart juice. It's like it's that new hip kid coming into town.
Right? Yeah. No.
Hey, can I get a glass of Bart juice, please?
Here you go.
Hey,
And Kafkarash.
labels out, motherfucker.
But when AEW started, it was the underdog, and it had a bunch of like disgruntled ex-WWE employees and people who would never have signed with WWE because of their practices.
AEW was started with people that are no longer under the AEW's banner because as they got better talent. But it was started with like people like Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. Like, I mean, Sonny Kiss is still there, but Joey Janela has obviously getting kicked to the rocks.
Joey Janela, who at WrestleCon I saw exit a battle royale and go eat Cheetos. For like literally that was the gimmick. The gimmick was that he got stoned during the match and just rolled out of the ring and was eating Cheetos in the crowd and waiting for the chance to come back in when there was one person left. It was fucking hilarious. Because I looked to my right and I'm like, that's Joey Janela eating a bag of Cheetos. It was awesome, you guys. And that's the other thing I think is missing. That is the one thing I really hope that WWE learns how to bring back. Is like the idea of you're allowed to have comedy in a match. Like, there was one match, I believe it was the match where
who's a part of the Cult of Cornet right there.
I'm sorry, am I not allowed to talk about him because he's not at AEW anymore? Anyway, but like the match where the Lucha Brothers won the tag titles from the Young Bucks, and they're literally doing a thing where they're doing super kicks in like a 4-square pattern. Yeah. It's like one guy kick one guy, then he'd kick the other guy. It was funny. I'm like, let's bring more of this Hal Needham bullshit back to fucking wrestling,
Vince
man.
McMahon literally had a clown in the ring.
Multiples! Because they kept dying.
39.
He's like, did we run everyone off?
No, we actually grew. Yeah, at 25 when we started.
Yeah. Plus some hype train things happened, which I don't understand, but sounds like it's a good thing. I don't know.
Christmas music was played.
It was. We just need to get you on Twitch.
What's a Twitch?
It's the.
By the way, twitch.tv/junkfoodcinema is a thing. I just don't know how it works.
No, yeah, but now that AEW was kind of like on the upswing with wrestling fans, with the hardcore, and it had kind of always been from its inception. Even though it was the underdog, it's like you're challenging Titan, you're challenging like fucking Thanos here, like we're behind you. Well, Thanos bled in the sense that Vince McMahon is gone. And now, like, people are like, well, we were behind AEW because, you know, they had Thanos, but now Thanos is gone. So...
I like this is going to be an extended metaphor about Thanos. The Infinity Stones of Triple H, Roman Reigns.
So this comment was made a while ago. And I think it's a good way to segue towards kind of the end of what the segment might be. But it's like... somebody asked, like, what is a casual viewer? What would it take for a casual viewer to be attracted to either AEW or WWE? And what is going to work better? WWE's money that can attract stars. Like, they literally, like, for the longest time got people like Shaquille O'Neal or just... I mean, even AEW actually did get Shaq, but...
Yeah. Shaq, not expensive. Have you played Shaq Fu?
He
Not
says yes
expensive.
to everything, bro. Have you seen the animation on those general
Are you
commercials?
familiar with the movie Steel?
WWE being wise enough and smart enough to pay people like Bad Bunny and Jake Paul, like, even though I don't watch their matches, and they are actually really good, like, for people that are haters of Bad Bunny and Jake Paul, which is what I am, they did a good job. I actually have to admit that. What is going to work better, WWE's money or AEW's, like, comedy? Because I one of the things that, because you were saying somebody got you into stuff with Orange Cassidy, I literally am gonna show someone Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay, like their first wrestling match, because I'm like, this dude is prone to anger. This dude's whole thing is getting you angry. Enjoy the theater.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And my answer to you is "Por qué no los todos?" Why not both? Like that's the thing is, like, I feel like we've got to stop acting like you have to pick
Logan Paul,
Pepsi
not
or
Jake
Coke.
Paul. Thank you.
Whichever.
Yeah.
Really? Is that important? Whatever. Anyway,
One of them's the underdog, bro.
whichever one didn't go to the suicide forest, I guess, is what we're talking about. Whatever. But that's the thing is, like, I
Oh
feel
no,
like,
I'm pretty sure he's.
oh, he's the one who did? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Wonderful, Vince. I made a joke when that was happening, when they were signing him. I made a joke that if we don't correct this trend, that next year's WrestleMania main event is going to be a bag of flaming hot Doritos versus JoJo Siwa. And I made that joke, and then literally a couple of weeks ago, they did a big event at SoFi Stadium in LA to promote the fact that that's where the next WrestleMania is going to be. JoJo Siwa was there. I am not far off on this. The thing is, there's so many things you can go back and watch. You can watch Dark Side of the Ring. You can watch Orange Cassidy matches. You can watch the original Tables, Ladders, and Chairs match. You can watch Undertaker and Mankind in Hell in a Cell. There's so many things you can watch and just be impressed with the theater. That I feel like there's so many access points into wrestling, and we need to stop closing those on-ramps by saying you have to pick one or the other.
JJ, notes?
I don't take notes.
I mean, he covered a lot that kind of was where I was going. The thing is that, like, WWE has been the wrestling company for so long that it's like, of course, people are going to gravitate towards WrestleMania, and an event that has been around for like 30 plus years over Full Gear. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
I've always thought Full Gear was a dumb name, but I will say that as a neutral,
Really, an
wrestling fan-
insurrection with an X is like great.
I'm not saying WWE has, the issue is that
In your house.
in your house is actually kind of
Whose house?
Because there were house shows.
But I will say that as a weird like wrestling fan,
Oh, hey.
I mean, there's nothing left.
Oh, it's from Martin? Then yes.
Yes, please.
But I will say, as a weird wrestling, so the problem is that AEW only has 4 pay-per-views. You can name it anything besides Full Gear at that point. WWE has 12 pay-per-views.
You know what, Marcos? Fine. The name is bad, but the wrestling is good, which is all that
The
fucking
wrestling
matters.
is good. The wrestling is good.
I'm sorry that the name isn't living up to your expectations.
At the same time, like, WWE is the other extreme. what the fuck is the name of the next pay-per-view? I didn't know.
Clash at the Castle, or
Which I think is the
Right.
band from Scott
But,
Pilgrim,
like,
right?
If,
No?
Clash at the Demon Head.
That's what it is. Yeah.
But like, if someone didn't mention it in chat and I like held a gun to your head, would you have told me?
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Just-
don't know.
Fucking, here's my...
When the fuck was the last Armageddon? That was a WWE pay-per-view that I remember enjoying.
Can I field this one?
I didn't know you
It
knew
was
the answer.
It was 2001, and they didn't want to call it Armageddon because of 9/11. So this is literally the answer. They changed it to Vengeance because they thought doing a pay-per-view called Armageddon shortly after 9/11 was a bad idea. A rare moment of reading the room from WWE. But I will say this: go to a wrestling show. AEW, WWE, I don't care if it's a fucking local promotion. Go to a show. And that is everything you need to get hooked on it. It is so much fun to just be there and be a part of it. Like, I literally went to a local Austin promotion where the main event was Mario and Luigi versus Yoshi and Wario. I shit you not. This was the main event. And it was so much fun that I was like, I don't even care what's happening. This is just a blast. So my biggest piece of advice to the casual person to get into wrestling, go to a show. Just go.
In general, this is gonna hit some scars for people that are truly wrestling nerds, just because this promotion actually fucked up a lot of people. Me, JJ, I even think I dragged Sam to it. Was the last Wrestle Circus show,
Oh, sure.
and we didn't know it was the last Wrestle Circus show because they actually planned a show after that, and they folded in the middle of the show. So wrestlers actually were here and booked tickets, and they were like, "Well, now I was expecting the check to come in to buy the plane ticket back.
Right.
And now that you fucked me, I can't afford to get back. So GoFundMe's appeared overnight.
That's a Darren Aronofsky movie in and of itself.
Yes. That being said, Wrestle Circus was a lot of fun. That's where a lot of people first saw Brian Cage, Orange Cassidy. I mean, we saw Orange Cassidy that night. We saw Brian Callen that night for the first time. Tessa Blanchard, her own problematic thing.
Right. Nukes notwithstanding.
So it just comes to this point where it's like, but we had a lot of fun that day.
Of course.
Yeah.
Those shows are, I mean, any show
I
you
saw
go
a guy
to.
in a Brazzers t-shirt that proudly wore it. And I was like, I know you were not in the videos.
His entrance music is just the U-porn theme before all the videos.
But at the end of the day, I will tell you, like, I believe AEW tickets, if you want, like, mediocre seats, and I say mediocre because I don't know what arenas look like throughout the country. I mean, $45 maybe?
It's
Like,
really not expensive. It's really not.
WWE tickets may cost a bit, but if you want to see a GCW show, like, they're probably going to play in your...
They paid me to go to the last GCW show. It's not expensive, I'm telling you.
Honestly, check it out. Like, you're missing something out by not going to these indie shows.
Correct.
There's a lot to enjoy there.
And that's a lesson that I really learned at WrestleCon. Like, I had seen a couple of shows, but at WrestleCon, I was like, I am so much more excited about the indie shows than I am about going to my first WrestleMania. So, yeah, absolutely go to shows.
But yeah, this pretty much cancels our first. Well, not canceled.
We got canceled already? I was here 5 minutes, guys. What did I do?
This pretty much ends our first episode of Wrestle Talk. We will try to come back, or maybe we'll talk to Brian about having another show, or we just kind of fucking just shoot the shit.
Maybe we
about-
should all just go to a pay-per-view.
Yeah,
or
let's just
an
go.
AEW like taping of Dynamite. Like,
We can go to an Austin...
Plane tickets to Chicago are cheap, and that's where AEW.
We're
has
not going
three
to
of-
that pay-per-view.
We can go to Austin Wrestling Revolution shows at Cajun restaurants in Lockhart, which is where I saw them. This is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter where it is. It's going to be fucking fun. We absolutely should. And you guys should come on Replay Per View. We'll talk more about wrestling from, 2 generations ago.
Shadow Shotgun is saying more Brian. Yeah, Brian is amazing. He is,
Oh, come on, you.
Brian's the coolest. He's the
come
cream
on.
of the crop.
Raised in the yeah. I even brought my own Slim Jims, which, by the way, if my brother's watching it, snap into, not fucking step into. Who would step into a Slim Jim? God damn it! It's an ongoing argument we've had. He thinks the slogan was "Step into a Slim Jim." They're not pants.
Why?
No.
Why in the fuck would you step?
I don't know. It makes no sense.
Stay tuned to the Mexcellence. We'll have all sorts of great giveaways and things going on. And I hope you enjoyed this Wrestle Talk. And we're going to try to do something more of this in the future. Have a great night, guys.
Hey, we didn't promise that.